Hello everybody, this is Justin from LitTube, and this is another Face2Face video. This week I have some more political news for you. It's looking like the United States is going to change its policy towards H-1B visa program. For those of you that don't know what an H-1B visa is, it's essentially a temporary work permit given to foreigners that want to come over here to the United States to perform high-skilled jobs. So more than any other industry, this affects the information technology industry. There's a lot of people that over the years have come over from India or China and other types of countries overseas, and they come over to do IT work. So we're talking, help desk, software development, web development, those types of things. Now, what's been confirmed up to this point is that on January 31st, California Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren introduced the High-Skilled Integrity and Fairness Act of 2017 in the U.S. House of Representatives. And her reasoning for this bill is to supplement the U.S. workforce with talented, highly paid, and highly skilled workers who help create jobs here in America, but not replace American workers. So there's been a number of things proposed in the bill, but the most critical factor is that they want to double the current minimum wage requirement, or minimum salary requirement for these H-1B workers. They want to make it so the least you can pay these workers now to come over and have a job here is $130,000 annually. So they double that based on what the figure was before what was required. So in my opinion, this basically would make it so companies are not going to hire anyone on an H-1B visa because, frankly, it's really going to make it so these tech companies will not hire people on the H-1B visa because it's going to be so expensive. They'll only try to do it if they really can't find anyone in the United States and it's a high level job, like a systems architect or something, like some really high level, senior level IT job that they might resort to go ahead and doing this and paying the $130,000 or more for that individual. But I have to tell you, people, I've worked as an IT recruiter, so I know that for one thing, in the United States, there's really not enough American workers that can do this type of work in the IT industry. The supply of workers is less than what the demand is, and that's a reason there actually is recruiting for IT, because it's so hard to find talent sometimes in IT unless you're talking about really low-level positions like just entry-level help desk and things like that, and it's pretty easy to find someone. But for a lot of these IT jobs, project management jobs, it's difficult to find American citizens to do that type of work. And that's why I think, a lot of these IT companies will try to use the H-1B visas and bring over people from other countries to fill that vacancy, essentially, that there is. So in my opinion, the best way we could fix the problem is by investing in, education of our own citizens, making sure that, people have the opportunity to go out and get educated in IT if that's what they want to do. Of course, not everyone can afford a college education and all that, so that remains a problem. And also, if you ask me, there's not a whole lot of people that are interested in learning IT. They'll go to college and major in liberal arts or something like that. But that's besides the point. I want to give you the news here. So that was the news that on the 31st of January, Zoe Lofgren, again, a Democratic congresswoman from California, so Silicon Valley out there, she was aware there's a problem. She introduced that bill. Interestingly enough, we don't have the full details on this point, but Donald Trump is also working on an executive order related to this very same issue. And it's not entirely clear yet how his executive order that he's been drafting is going to compare to what's mandated in this bill. But what we do know is that with this bill, among other things, it's going to double that minimum salary requirement for the H-1B visa holders. It's also going to make it so there's caps on, how many a company can have. And a lot of things are unclear right now on how this is going to play out and if it's going to help or hurt our country. But what we do know is that those overseas consulting companies, so like Tata Consultancy Services and similar companies that provide these type of workers, they're going to get hit hard by this because you're essentially making it so that their people are not going to be getting used as much. So that it really hurts those overseas companies that provide those type of workers. And it also potentially creates a huge shortage of workers here that are capable of doing the IT work. So that's going to be the key of this. It's going to be interesting to play out. The interesting part of this is, on paper, this is supposed to help American workers because the idea is, okay, less H-1B visa foreigners are going to be able to come over here to take these type of jobs. So that's going to create more job openings for American citizens. But the thing is, like I said, by and large, from my perspective as an IT recruiter, it's already pretty easy to get a job as a United States citizen that is skilled in IT because there is a shortage for that. That's why there's people that recruit for these type of jobs all the time. They're so hard to fill. You basically have to pull someone from another company, and then they have an opening, and then they go find someone, and then another company has an opening. Like that's how this works for IT. It really is how this works. Now there are other instances where, I've heard of situations in which certain companies may lay off their United States citizen employees in IT and then bring in foreign nationals to do the work to try and cut costs that way. But I don't think by and large that's what's happening. I think that's, a tactic that some companies try to employ to try and, have that competitive advantage in cutting costs. But by and large, I really don't think that's what's going on. It's more that we're looking at, the fact that there's just a shortage of IT talent in the United States compared to what is needed, especially with you think about how fast technology is growing. There's only going to be more jobs in IT. It's not going to slow down. We're going to have more IT jobs, and we're not educating our workforce, our people, in a way that we can keep up with that demand for those type of jobs. Now, again, on the benefit of, this legislation and, depending on what Trump tries to propose as an executive order, I assume it's something along the same lines, actually. So it might just be a way of implementing something like this quicker than a bill can go through Congress. But, this type of change in the H-1B visa policy, it can help current workers, potentially IT workers, make even more money just because you're making there even more of a shortage for IT talent. So, for those of you employed in IT, this could help you out a lot, actually. This could prevent you from losing a job and also bump up your salary from a policy like this. But the caveat is it could also do the opposite if IT companies decide, you know what, we don't like this new legislation, we're leaving the United States, and we're just going to outsource all of our things, all of our operations over to India or something like that. That's a possibility. Now, again, I think because of the way Trump campaigned on everything, if companies started doing that, he'd find a way to punish them. I do believe he'd find a way to punish those companies through tax increases or some other kind of penalty. So there's a lot we have to look out for to see how this plays out. I don't have all the answers for you right now. I don't think anybody does. This is something we have to see how it plays out. But it's very interesting to me that, a Democratic Congresswoman is trying to pass this bill through Congress. and yet Trump is working on an executive order that is probably going to do essentially the same thing. But either way, it looks like there's enough support in the government right now to get a reform like this done to the H-1B visa. And don't be surprised if this gets implemented sooner rather than later, whether it's by Trump's executive order or this bill going through and getting signed into law. But it looks like changes are coming for the H-1B visa program. And it remains to be seen all the nuances and how they're going to play out. So keep an eye out to see if Trump proposes an executive order over the next few days, if this bill actually makes it into law. That's the type of stuff we're going to be looking out for right now. But from my perspective, I think this has a chance to hurt IT companies in the United States for sure, because it's presenting them with another problem. That's one, the H-1B visa. I mean, that's one less resource they have to go to now because it's essentially making it useless. You know, it's like, okay, so I have to pay a minimum of $130,000 annual salary in order to get one of these people. So it really, really is giving them almost no choice but to try and hire American workers for the IT jobs and hire them at you know, at high salaries. So it's going to be interesting unless those companies leave the country and move their operations overseas. I do see it helping American IT workers. I do. But again, it's a big if, because if they move, those people are out of job. So, but again, it's going to be very interesting to see all the nuances and how this plays out. But for right now, what we do know, there's a bill in Congress going through, and Trump's working on an executive order. So expect more news on this to come out pretty soon.